count the ways that I need
you. The winner of the 4th IWC Filmmaker Award is
Layla Kaylif, كاتب الرسائل.
محتاج دليل رأيتها فوق الرصيف جمالها توابك وميلادك تكشف لكم الأكاذيب تصبح ملمة للمساكين بغفل بمن يذن بهالألويات. Looking through the shadows for the girl you used to know. You thought you saw her standing there, but it was only stone and sand. The bride is beautiful, but she's married to another man. If you look closer, see a transparent veil designed to hide and exercise the shame. And I tried kitchen torches to burn bright. She's hanging on the cheek of night. A snowy dove trooping with crows. He never saw true beauty till tonight. I'll deliver you from a body of lies forever. I'll take my time to see the burning in your eyes. It's the bombs we make to keep us safe. It's the crimes we sell to ourselves. 'Cause there's a war on children.
Today, 3 years after the publication of the study, millions of children remain deprived of liberty. Millions of children are still deprived of their childhood and basic human rights.
You keep going in the wrong direction, saying you can't love me with the right intention, with the sort of love's inside of you. Broken as I am, can you really love me? Hopeless as I am, can you really love me? Can you really love me? Love me.
We're very happy that you're all here to join us, and I'm very excited to hear about the missing parts of Layla's life that I haven't been a part of. Just some background: Layla was a very good friend of mine in university. We went to college together in Pepperdine University in Malibu, California. Beautiful place. We had Madonna jogging in our campus and all sorts of celebrities there. But that was another time, and definitely a while ago, just a few years. And now I want to introduce Faisal Jama, our Deputy District Governor. He wanted to mention a couple of things.
Thank you very much, President Hanadi. I only have one thing to mention, that District Governor Peter was happy to receive your invitation to attend today's meeting, but unfortunately, due to an exhibition he has in his museum, he's unable to attend. So on his behalf, he has requested me to read out a brief message to the Rotary Club of Salmaniya members and all the attendees today. So, warm greetings to the Rotary Club of Salmaniya. I regret that I cannot be with you this evening due to an exhibition commitment at my museum. I would have truly enjoyed being part of this remarkable program and hearing from Miss Layla Kaylif, whose creative work across film and music so beautifully demonstrates how art can bridge cultures, emotions, and human understanding. My warmest congratulations to Ms. Kaylif for her inspiring career and for using her talent to give voice to stories that connect cultures and celebrate humanity. Her work is a powerful reminder that art, much like Rotary, is a universal language that fosters understanding and peace. Events like this reflect the true spirit of Rotary, where we celebrate not only service and leadership, but also culture, creativity, and connection. Through such dialogues, we remind ourselves that art, much like Rotary, has the power to unite people and inspire positive change. I congratulate the Rotary Club of Salmaniya for organizing this inspiring session and for your continuous dedication to excellence, innovation, and fellowship. Please extend my warm regards to all members and guests and my best wishes for a successful and enriching meeting. And with that, District Governor Peter thanks all of you again, I should say Rotary Club Salmaniya, and he would like to join a future program that that Rotary Club Salmaniya organizes. And with that, thank you very much, President Hanadi.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much for this beautiful letter. And thank Peter on our behalf. That was very touching. So Layla, I have you on Spotlight so everyone gets to see you. I'm going to ask some questions and I'll put the spotlight on myself as well so that there's two of us talking, okay? My first question for you. So you grew up between worlds with a British mother and an Emirati father. How did that blend of cultures shape your sense of identity and the kind of stories you feel compelled to tell?
So I think like a lot of children of cross-cultural marriages, I think it's particularly that cross-cultural marriage where you have seemingly contradictory cultures kind of trying to reconcile with each other through parenting and also in that era, you know, when you see the Gulf now, you see a very liberal, modern society. But when I was growing up, Dubai was still a small town. You know, my parents had met in England in the 60s, late 60s. And it was quite parochial culturally speaking. And my Emirati family, very conservative. But then the parental home, there was a lot of freedom of expression actually within my family home. But there was still the constraints around girls growing up, you know. So my father was, I like to think of my father as like a patriarchal feminist. Because on the one hand, he really spoiled me and really encouraged me to be an individual, but at the same time, he was subject to the cultural constraints around him. So he was quite strict. But I was exposed at home, like I used to watch a lot of, like all of us, I believe in the Gulf, we were quite exposed to American culture. So I grew up, listening to American pop music. And then when I spent my summers in England, with my English relatives, I was exposed to British culture and then obviously Emirati culture. So it was a real melting point. I would say the one thing that was kind of a common denominator in my family is that we all have a really good sense of humor. So we were always laughing and making fun of each other, like there was never like a feeling that we couldn't express ourselves in the family home. So I think in that sense, I would like to believe that that facilitated the kind of blending of cultures. And also people are sort of individuals. I think we forget that regardless of our cultures, we are individuals. So, in some ways, my father was probably more liberal than my mother. My mother was quite conservative in many ways. But so I think that generally speaking, it was a fertile ground for a young girl like myself who was quite sort of, expressive and I loved to read, I loved music, I loved film, but I also used to horse ride like all us I think a lot of girls used to horse ride at that, show jumping, the de facto sport of Arab girls. It was like they all let us ride horses. Yes, we're very liberal. All our girls ride horses. So yeah, I hope that answers the question.
Yes, I mean, it shows me that at some point you decided to break the mold, right? Because when you have a parent from a very different dynamic, different culture that you're suddenly exposed to something completely different. Whereas perhaps you were living in Emirates, but then you have your mom, you probably used to go to London, you see a completely different culture, which is also what happened to me because I didn't grow up in Kuwait. So
Right.
when we look at that, and at some point we say, okay, when do I break the mold? You know, which side do I want to associate with? Is it more my Eastern side or is it my Western side? So I see that. Okay. Um, so what first sparked your passion for music and storytelling?
So I think I had a passion for music when I was growing up, pop music particularly. But I had these very sort of different passions. So I really liked pop music and sort of country music, but then I liked literature. Um, so it was sort of like high and low culture. And then I was quite academic when I grew up. So I think that my artistic, and then I like to paint. So I think the one important thing to say is that I'm not a trained musician. So I came into songwriting as a writer, from my interest in language and poetry and art. And then when I was at I went to various universities. So we met at Pepperdine, and then I went to drama school for a while, and then I went to England, I went to Oxford, I studied Arabic literature. So I went through and then when I knew you, actually, I had no interest in music, which is probably why you were like a lot of my friends were like, what are you doing? Why have you released an album? What are you up to? So I think I went through I think the common denominator is I do love to tell stories. So I did start, for example, I wrote a script when I knew you, in the States. And I kind of, the common denominator for me was also I perform like I acted in my film as the mother character, but I don't put these hats on, like I don't consider myself a singer, songwriter, filmmaker, actress, actor. I don't like these constraints. I suppose it's the same with identity. I don't really consider myself English or Arabic. I feel like they're all just, life, as Shakespeare's, life is a stage and you play your role. And I think I've had some privilege in that I come from a comfortable family. So I've been able to leverage that security blanket to really be creative and be an artist. And of course, navigate I changed my name. I created an artist name because of my family name. And, regardless of, the liberal culture we live in, my Arab family are still very, very conservative. So I don't want to, I don't as we all know in the Arab world, a woman reflects her family, So I wanted to really separate myself and my identity from any kind of um identifiers, so often people don't know where I'm from. They're like, no, you're not Emirat. There's no way. When for example, as an anecdote, when my song Shakespeare in Love did really well back in the day, friends were calling me from Lebanon saying, everyone says you're Lebanese. I'm like, yeah, of course I have to be Lebanese, no way could I be from the Emirates. I think also I don't look Emirati, so it gives me a sort of protection from these different sort of codes, these different kind of, which is not an artist's job, is to reflect society, not necessarily reflect, but an artist's job is not to represent something in particular. In my view, an artist's job is to engage with the world as they see it and invite a new understanding of the world.
I
Yes.
I see that. I see that we live in a world, it's a global entity. So when we're born into one family or the other, the exposure that we're basically in touch with, if we travel to 5 different countries, the byproduct of that is going to be a completely different person. We're products of that environment. And from what I see in your culture, that you were born into a culture that was conservative, but then something else happened and there's an emergence of two cultures in one. And this is the beauty of multicultural, so the byproduct of parents that are from different countries with different religions is that the kids come out quite interesting, like you know? And I really admire the ambition, because it's not easy. People think it's easy to have been born into two different cultures, but at some point you have to kind of really take a deep look at yourself. And I want to know, when was that moment where you were like, am I half and half? What part of me is Eastern? What part of me is Western,
Well, I think identity also engages with the zeitgeist of the time. And so if you've been alive long enough, you go through different eras, right? So, for example, when I was growing up, we never called ourselves Emiratis, and we called ourselves Dubai. And I'm in Dubai, I'm from Dubai. We don't say that. So for example, my younger brother's generation, they grew up more with an Emirati identity. And I would always say أنا نص إنجليزية نص عربية أمي إنجليزية وأبوي عربي. That was just my comfort. That's how I felt. That was who I was. And it would be fun when I was a kid because I'd be I'd be in a shopping mall, not the new shopping malls, the old shopping malls, and people would speak about, we'd be on an elevator and they'd start speaking Arabic, and then I'd say in Arabic, oh, I can understand you, and they would like, oh. It was kind of fun. You're kind of like, and then when you're in England though, people are like, where are you really from? So sometimes I try on these different, well, I'm English, even till today I don't get away with it. They're like, where are you from? I'm from London. And then it's like there's a pause, and then they're waiting for, okay, but where are you really from? So I say, and I'm in Mishmish. I wrote a song, Apricot Time, So I think I've learned through pain and suffering. I'm not trying we all have our struggles, to accept being an outsider, right? So to accept being an observer. And I think once you accept yourself, people accept you. The world is kind of like a mirror to you. And I think as you get older, particularly as a woman, I think one of the things that's nice about being an Arab woman, is particularly, I think when you reach a certain age, people are less interested in what you do on a personal level. I mean, I did an interview with a journalist and I was trying to explain to him, he was like, oh, is it repressive? Are you oppressed? And is this trope of oppression? And I said, well, actually, no, in the Emirates, they're very woman forward, They're very positive. They encourage women to work. It's a very female focused culture now, But the thing that I said that remains, which I think the Western mindset finds it hard, it's to do with a woman's sort of chastity, her repute as a female, is policed more. It's not her role as a professional, so women are still expected to behave in a certain way. But I think the Western mindset can't understand that. It's like, no, women can work, women can create, and I think culturally, which is, those boundaries are not necessarily bad, I don't think. I think they allow for a place to move from, like, I think we're seeing a real collapse, and I hate to sound like a old conservative, because I was, a wild young girl myself once, but I think that what you see in the Western society, and how I'll talk more about it in terms of how it expresses itself in terms of the arts, is that when you don't have any boundaries, you have nothing to kind of create from, like I think, like I was saying to you, I think people are like, look at the greatest English writer is Shakespeare, William Shakespeare. They don't teach you when you do, GCSE English, that Shakespeare wrote in a police state, the master of the revels controlled Shakespeare's output. Shakespeare was subject to censorship. He was writing during a heavily censored era, and yet he produced what the English would say is the greatest writing of, ever. He's the greatest English writer, but he created in a sense under censorship. So one could argue that you need constraint to create great art. So I think that kind of is why we're seeing, I think, a move away from, from Western values or ideals into the Eastern world, a kind of a rising in the global South, a kind of fertility and renaissance, which I'm very excited about,
Layla, I want you to talk a little bit about the movie that you did, The Letter Writer. I know that comes from that place when you were a kid, and your memories of Dubai and how it used to be.
Yeah. So yeah, the letter writers. So there was my father grew up telling us stories because we didn't really grow up that they didn't used to teach us Emirati history at school. It wasn't part of the curriculum, so you'd learn about it through anecdotes and through within the family homes. So my father was a letter writer as a child. He used to transcribe letters into formal Arabic on like as a summer job because it was and there might be people in the audience that will know about this. Obviously the pearl my grandfather was a pearl merchant, and so the pearl industry had sort of collapsed, because of the Japanese counterfeit pearl industry had sort of, I think in Bahrain too, right? They had sort of destroyed. I'm sure someone in the audience will tell us more about this in terms of Bahrain. So yeah, so he always used to tell me this anecdote, and he's very funny, my father. And we also grew up loving Umar Sharif, you know, and my father sort of looked a bit like Umar Sharif,
That's right, he does.
Yeah, and what's an interesting story is that there was sort of this whole generation of young men in the 60s that went and married their kind of English rose, And I always say, well, I guess this movie, Dr. Zhivago, I don't know if anyone's familiar with this movie, with the beautiful Julie Christie. And I think a lot of these men went and married their English roses. I mean, I even met a friend of mine at university whose father was Syrian and whose mother was English as well. So we didn't grow up together, but I think they had that same, again, the zeitgeist. I think people don't realize how much it's in the air, what's happening in that era can impact on how people behave, even if they don't know each other. Anyway, so in my head, I always call my film, so I wrote a version of, so this story was kind of in my head. I wanted to tell this story about a young boy, letter writer, who falls in love, and then I sort of invented the rest of it. That was the kind of basis of the story. And it was sort of like there's a film called Cyrano de Bergerac, which you probably all know, when the man falls in love with the woman and then he's too frightened to speak to, so he gets his friend to write the letters. So in my story, there's an Indian merchant who falls in love with this young English woman who's visiting Dubai, who's the daughter of the resident, the British political resident. So there's like a little bit of a political backdrop, when Dubai was, part of the Trucial States. And yeah, and so this young boy's a bit mischievous, and he sees the photo of this woman and he falls in love with her, and then he starts writing the letters to the woman as if he's the love, the Indian merchant. So, it's kind of, that's the kind of story. It's just kind of a sweet story, and I really was influenced by European cinema. And I don't think it really resonates. I think in terms of the audience, the people that liked the film were people who were Europeans more. I don't know if the visual and the aesthetic of the film really, I think Bahrainis would like it.
I think so too.
I think Bahrainis are the cool Gulfies, aren't they?
I chose to live here, so yes, I would agree.
I think Bahrain still has, I mean, I've only been a couple of times, but I think Bahrain still has a more, I don't know, I get the sense of relaxedness and sort of like, I don't know how to explain it, but it's an energy, it's a kind of sensibility that I still think exists, a sort of salt of the earthness, that I still think Bahrain has, to be honest.
I think there's a certain humility in the people of Bahrain, a kindness, a friendliness that it radiates. When you come here, you notice it. It's very, very clear in the people.
Yeah, yeah. And the UAE now is beautiful. Dubai is beautiful. I've lived there all my life. I'm still on the same plot of land I was on when I was 12 years old. I mean, we rebuilt the house, but it built up around me. And it's just, I think what's tricky is that when people know you're from Dubai, particularly someone like me who's an independent artist, I don't necessarily, I think people, it's like saying you're from Las Vegas, to be honest, nowadays, And I always say, like, listen, there are people in Las Vegas who are from Las Vegas, maybe they just live a regular life, that doesn't mean they spend, I've never been up the Burj Khalifa, okay? because I have vertigo. There's no one going to take me up the Burj Khalifa. So when I have people visiting, they're like, we want to go to we don't want to do this, we want to do that. And then I feel like a tourist in my own country. I'm like, I don't know any of these places. You came to the wrong house. I'll cook you a nice dinner. So yeah, it's everything has its, challenges in life. Nothing is, nothing's black and white, really, is it?
It isn't. That's very true. I wanted to hear more also about your song, Shakespeare in Love, and how you went and into, what inspired that song. I know there was a movie about it, and I think you mentioned something about that.
So when I was in the UK, I started sort of developing my recording, my interest in, doing pop music. But I had this kind of, like I said, because of my literary influences, I kind of enjoyed making pop music, but with high sort of literary lyrics. So it was a kind of a weird blend in a way. I didn't like trivial lyrics, right? So I liked meaningful lyrics, but the melodies were simple. And so I was working with a producer, and this film, because I was also interested in film, I used to read the film trades, what films were in development. And a lot of films take years, I don't know if anyone in this audience is aware of that. So I apologize if I'm preaching to the choir, but a film can be in development for years and years and years before it ever gets green lighted. So I used to read about this. There was this particular film called Shakespeare in Love, and I'm very also inspired by titles. So a lot of my songs are actually inspired by film titles. And I thought, oh, Shakespeare in Love, what a wonderful title. So I started following the trays of this film, and it had just been, sorry, it had been made and it was coming out. And I hadn't seen the film, I just read about the film. And so I went around to my producer, I said, we have to write a song for this film. And so we did, and then we sent it to the producers and we sent it to the distributors, and they actually did want to use the song for the soundtrack. But at the last minute, the director, he vetoed it. And I think he wasn't comfortable with it being a pop song. But I got a record deal and they released the song. The song didn't do well in England. It did well in Southeast Asia. Actually, most of the territories it did well in were not territories that, at that time particularly, which is more the global South territories. So at that time, if your song didn't do well in England or America, we didn't release it in America, then because of the economics at that time of music, they wouldn't put more money to promote it. Whereas now, if I had released it, digital platforms allow for global hits, in a way they didn't then. And then if you had a hit in Singapore, it didn't really mean anything to your record company in England. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
But
The
the song,
dynamic of
yeah,
social media and
yeah,
how it's
has changed everything.
transformed.
Yeah, and so the song just became an evergreen song. I didn't really ever promote it. It just kind of had an extended shelf life based on the audience. I mean, that's still the song of mine that performs the best, and I don't promote it. It's just because people make reels and people have it in their library, their music libraries. So, but it's nice because it's nice to feel that people got something from that song.
There was one question,
Mm.
which is the subject of this talk, and it's about the rant. You've described songwriting as a kind of rant in disguise. Can you explain what you mean by that and why someone might choose to express outrage poetically instead of directly?
So yeah, I mean, not all my songs are rants, but some of them are rants. I think it comes back to what I was saying about censorship. And I think it's a very interesting subject to me, the issue of censorship, because I think that, or this issue of how you express yourself in terms of freedom of speech, so artistically or in whatever context. And I think that, there's not freedom of consequence when you express yourself, right? There might be freedom, there might be an ability to say what you want, but there's not an ability to control the consequences of what you say. And also, if you're an artist, I might say something that I don't necessarily believe in 10 years time, so I don't like to leave a trail of evidence. And I might change my mind. Might be how it's like having it's like someone listening in on you on your meltdown with your husband or someone. You don't want everyone. You don't want to. So when you translate it into art, and also I believe in that poetry tells the truth more than sentences, because things are a paradox. That's the beauty of art. If you want to capture truth is very difficult to express out. I believe that truth is, people can't necessarily handle the truth because it might disrupt their carefully imagined, right and wrongs, I mean, I think you can still have a moral compass, but I think within that moral compass, you might have you might be expressing something that hurts people as well. I think there's a famous Persian expression. I paraphrase very loosely because I've been trying to look it up. But if something on your mouth burns, if something you want to say burns your tongue, is it? Let it burn. You know what I mean? Like have some self-control, and I think so. If I'm ranting in a song, it's because I don't want to expose the person I'm ranting at.
Absolutely. No, I mean, everyone expresses their pain through art. A lot of people do.
Exactly.
And it's a beautiful way to do it because when we're in pain, it's very hard to internalize everything forever. And then if you have this outlet, like, like what you're doing with movies and songs and which song or time in your life you feel that was more compelling for you in terms of an expression of something very deep inside you?
So actually, interestingly enough, this song that I have coming out on the 24th of October, which you can pre-save on my Instagram page, the link is in the bio. Actually, which I haven't revealed this outside this talk, to be honest. So when it goes to press, it's an evergreen song. It's a very old song actually. I'm releasing archive songs at the moment. And that song actually does express, that's kind of the rant song, It's very different from Shakespeare in Love. Shakespeare in Love is very sweet and, expressive of love. And so so this song, and it is typical of like how I write, it sort of starts with kind of like that works on two levels, right? So there's the intimate betrayal, and then there's the kind of rant, it's kind of like eschatology. It's kind of like, in very poetic words, God is going to punish you. But I don't say it like that. It's kind of like it's poetic, right? So when you die, I'll say it like, when you die, thieves are fighting for your hereafter. And it's kind of like the concept of divine justice. But the song also can work on multiple levels, right? So some people will see the song as a private, a sense of, but the idea is that these things exist within you, right? So as much as you're the victim, you're also with the abuser and the abuser are kind of connected with each other. They're inextricably bound in the pain, because the crime is also the punishment, right? And I think people forget that when we want to exact revenge for our perceived wrongs, done to us. I think unless a human being is a psychopath and they have a conscience, right? And it's like in Islam, sabr wa tawakkul, right? The unfolding of the person will And I want to say, the person will deal with the consequences of their own actions, as we all do, right? And what we do with them, we either grow spiritually, we repent, you know, we ask for forgiveness of the other person. I think these things are beautiful. I think people are frightened of judgment. I think judgment's great. I think it allows for accountability. And at the other end of it is mercy. You know, at the other end of it is mercy. It's okay to repent, to acknowledge our sins, acknowledge our wrongdoings of other people. And I think people are really afraid of doing that. I think people I don't want to generalize, but, you know, spend their entire life refusing accountability. And I think that's sad, because I think accountability makes us spiritually richer people, you know, more humble, more strong, profoundly strong. If you can say, I'm accountable for this, I did this, yeah. You know, it might hurt your ego, but that's a good thing. It might collapse your ego, but that's a good thing, because the other side of ego is a spiritual rebirth, which is much stronger, much more powerful than this kind of fragile ego that's trying to avoid being wrong all the time, you know?
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, so that's why also these sort of songs, oh, you did this to me and you're a bad person and you hurt me, you know, like a lot of love songs tend to be. I mean, they're fine, but they're childish as well, you know, they don't take us anywhere. I mean, it's entertainment. So there's art for entertainment and art for edification. I don't know what the word is. I think you follow me.
I find that music sometimes without words can be incredibly powerful. I mean, sometimes when I listen to Max Richter, he's a contemporary musician, or if you go back and you listen to Chopin or Beethoven, or there's no words, but when you listen, you can't help yourself but engage in a certain emotional way. It is like a trip. You listen, and if you close your eyes, you're somewhere else, and this is the magic and the beauty of music. And for every person, that somewhere else is different, so
Yeah,
perhaps you may write something that comes from your pain, but somebody else will listen to that song and will have a very different reaction.
exactly. Absolutely. You cannot, you give it out. It's therapy for you, and then it's also for others, because that's the thing, you can't control how people receive what you do, you know. They're seeing it through their own lens. And I think you have to really accept that as an artist or as a person, to be honest. I always tell my son, you can't control how other people perceive you at the end of the day. You can only control how you respond to it, how you allow that to make you be in the world.
Layla, is there anything else you want to share with us? And perhaps, is there any question from the audience in terms of some of the things we talked about? I know that some of these things are deeply engaging and emotional, and we'd love to hear your thoughts. Any questions?
Okay, can we ask directly? It's okay.
Yeah.
Yes, okay, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question. Are you going first, Faisal?
I think
Go
Nijat
ahead. Go ahead.
wanted.
No, so go ahead.
Okay,
George?
I was just Layla, I think you were involved in 2022 with the sort of the DCI, Defense of Children International organization, which looks after kids in armed conflict. Does that have anything, or does that organization have anything to do with the recent Gaza crisis, or was it not involved on that side?
Well, I worked with them. I recorded a song, War on Children, in 2022. So I was like, I recorded a song for them and then did a presentation for their yearly, they held an event, sort of just like a sort of a song for World Children's Day. And
Right.
but I wasn't involved with them. When the war began, I don't think they had much to, I don't think they were involved because at that, I didn't sense that there was anything for them to do because their role was they had been sort of infiltrated. I'm terrible with names, but there was one of the first people to resign from the American administration they'd reported a rape case with a young boy, and their offices had been raided in Ramallah. And that happened just before the war, this recent war. And yeah, because they had reported it, and this particular American representative, had taken it seriously, and then the IDF had raided their offices in Ramallah. I mean, they have offices that deal with child, legal rights. So there were the organizations like Heal Palestine, that were involved more in dealing with evacuations for injured children when they in and out. I mean, I had helped some Palestinians who on a personal level, like who early when the Rafah border was still open, like helping them get out. And then obviously a young man who was in Egypt who needed an operation. So I think by that stage it had become, I think people like in my position just started to help individuals, like more hands-on. But from an organizational point of view, I don't think that they were involved in any of the humanitarian side. And obviously, there was no legal recourse for them to protect children. I felt that they should have advocated more for, my personal view was maybe a little bit at odds, but I understand the whole political quagmire of it, which was simply that children should have been evacuated from a war zone, but that fell, that got obviously caught up with the politics of it, ethnic cleansing and, all this kind of stuff, as opposed to just we're an organization that protects children. But how do you then implement such a thing, in such a situation? Yeah. Sorry,
Tragic.
did that answer your question?
Yes, absolutely. No, thank you for that. Thank you.
Good question.
Thank you for asking me about that.
Pleasure. Welcome.
Okay.
PDG Nijad, I think you had a question.
Yeah, just Layla, thank you very much. I mean, it was very, interesting and inspiring. I mean, all your words. From your point of view, I mean, now your father is Emirati, your mother British. This interaction, this mixed culture, how it affect or reflect on your personality, positively or negatively? Because I know many people, similar mixed marriage, it affects badly, depend, of course, about the personality of the mother, the personality of the father, how they treat their children. I mean, all the same. So, of course, it reflects somehow. I don't know if you can explain, you understand what I mean.
I do. That's why I changed my name. I told you. I solved the problem. حللت المشكلة، غيرت اسمي الفني.
مبين.
مبين عليه. undercover operation.
ما شاء الله عليكي، ما شاء الله عليكي.
No, Layla, someone asked me your name and I said, like, that's not an Emirati name. I'm like, I can't tell you her name.
لا أنا اسمي ليلى خليفة.
Secret.
ليلى خليفة وبعدين الاسم العائلي والاسم.
I didn't want to say.
Yeah. لا ليلى خليفة, it's fine. But actually I regret I should have stayed with Layla Khalifa, not Layla Kaylif. Yeah. But then it became Layla Kaylif. So, and obviously it caused so many problems because people spell it wrong. And then the people that want to be clever are like, your name isn't Kaylif, your name is Khalaf. I'm like, well, actually it's not Khalaf, it's Khalifa.
بس لهجتك إماراتية تمام
هي
يعني.
بس أنا
very
أنت
good.
حضرتك من وين؟
mixed. My mother Lebanese, my father Syrian. أنا مولود في البحرين، عايش في البحرين، جنسيتي بحريني. All my life here. My father came to Bahrain in 1943, so it's
أنت بحريني لبناني سوري.
سوري. yeah. بس
تغرب
الوالد سوري من حمص.
من حمص. I have a lot of friends from Syria actually in England.
Yeah. يعني كثير من عائلتنا موجودين from the family in الأتاسي family in England, in UK, in different cities, you know.
إيه نعم.
في موجود المهاجرين.
مهاجرين لاجئ. صديقتي لاجئة كمان من درعا، اجت من خلال سنتين
لا
ثلاثة.
بس في القديمين اللي راحوا قبل
هي بالذات هي لاجئة، بس في قبلها طبعا في
اللي
عائلة.
رايحين yeah for studying and they settled there and that's it.
Yeah, I mean actually you know الهوية البريطانية العربية صعبة شوية، معقدة شوية، لأنه مش مثل البريتش Asians or British، ما في شيء اسمه British Arab.
No.
هذا البريتش Arab is a new one.
بس ليلى you helped somebody from Syria صح؟ أيام الأزمة.
Yes, this is the lady that I was saying. She's from Dar'a. She came over as actually, you know, the British, they didn't fulfill their mandate for refugee for Syrian. They were supposed to have 20,000, I think, was the number. But she actually, when she came here, she works for Westminster. She works with, ironically, she's very educated. You know, Syrians are very educated people. You know, she works with the government now with young people, and she told me. So she said, "Oh, they didn't even." She was one of the lucky ones. She came legally, you know, as a political refugee, but she qualified, her and her family, her kids. But yeah, they didn't even bring that many Syrians. Not like Germany. I think it was 4 million or something. No. How many went to Germany? Quite a lot, right? Millions.
Yeah, but not millions, no, but I mean
a lot. But no, but England, you know, England, even now when you see them complaining about, you know, immigrants, it's like the numbers are minimal. They just exaggerate, particularly the legal pathways. And the reason you have it, the legal pathways, like, you know, I worked with Refugee Council. When you see the real numbers, the legal pathways are so impossible. You know?
I can help you there, Layla. Actually, the actual number of illegal immigrants in the UK is 1.1% of the total population of 68.4 million.
Exactly.
And it's now for politicians to claim that the misery of the UK is because of illegal immigrants coming on boats, people who are desperate, I think is just such a callous interpretation of reality. These people, do they want to risk their lives and their children's lives on inflatable boats trying to go? They are desperate people, and it's I think insipid the way these people have just twisted the whole thing to be to blame these poor wretched people for the miseries which are caused by incompetence, greed, and graft. Unfortunately, in the UK, one of the most corrupt. You know, the corruption in the UK is on the underside. It's on the underbelly. It's not blatant as it is in other parts of the world, but it's shameful. And as a British Bahraini, I'm also a Bahraini citizen by the grace of God. I've been here for 46 years, and I'm very proud of that fact. It's a beautiful place to live, and the longer I live here, the less impressed I am about the excuses for prejudice, unfortunately, in my country. Sorry, that's a slight deviation from the yeah.
No, absolutely. And, you know, obviously I live in London half the year, and it's just, you know, you get to the point where the only redeeming sort of silver lining in the cloud is that a lot of these people, they go to these demonstrations, get drunk, go to the pub, and go home and carry on moaning and watching EastEnders. That's the whole. They're not revolutionary. They're not quite as aggressive as, you know.
That's amazing. I didn't think anybody watched EastEnders anymore. I think it was.
So yes, we always joke about it because we're like, yeah, you know, you see them on the streets getting drunk and just venting. But you know, people actually in England are, I mean, I live in London, so I don't know, like I went to Folkestone. I'm lazy. I don't really travel around the UK, so I'm not aware of. I will say when I was in Folkestone about 5 years ago, I did feel a little bit of a different atmosphere. But you know, London is just an international city. It's very hard to gauge
Absolutely. Yeah.
how people feel about foreigners because everyone here is foreign. Well, you know what I mean? So it's very difficult to yeah.
Understood. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
George, anybody who's not from southern London is a foreigner.
Absolutely. I'm a foreigner in my own country. Honestly, I remember going to a few years ago now, about 10 years ago, I was going to our local sort of street shop to pick up a Sunday newspaper, as I'd like to do when people used to read newspapers. And this Indian guy was behind me. I was just courteous and nice. And like the third week when I came back, he said, excuse me, so where are you from? It was like, and I said, I'm English. What do you think where I'm from? He said, no, where are you from originally? I said, why do you ask me that? He says, you're too nice to be English.
Oh, that's a good one.
But yeah, anyway, that's great. Lovely. It's a really enjoyable listening to you today, Layla. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And Hanadi for inviting me here today as well. Thank you.
No, thank you for participating and for asking amazing questions.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you, Layla, for coming on board. This was very enlightening, and it's really wonderful to hear about the transition in this world where we're seeing a greater interest in the Eastern and in the, as you put it, the global South, the rise of the global South. I think we're in for really interesting and fun times ahead. So thank you for introducing us to it, and we enjoyed having you with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I really enjoyed having my old friend here host me. My young old friend.
She's not that old, yes.
We're old friends. I'm
a vampire. I don't know about you guys. I'm like 2,000 years old.
Oh no, I always say that. I'm definitely 2,000. You get to a point where you just have to say you're 2,000 years old. And then you just
yeah. So lovely. Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to
Anybody
have
else have any questions?
Are you planning to visit Bahrain?
I am, and I'd love to meet. I'm Hanadi. I've been to Bahrain. So my niece lives in Bahrain. So I've been to Bahrain a couple of times, but I'm planning I'm going to be coming. I'm coming to Dubai next month. So between November the 7th and December the 11th. So sometime in November, Hanadi has kindly invited me to visit. So it would be lovely to meet.
Well, in that case, I would love to invite you to our Woman of the Year Awards, which is on the 6th of December. If you're in Bahrain with Hanadi, perhaps you could accompany her to our event as well. And also make sure you're here on a Monday evening because there's karaoke night at JJ's bar. And I'm actually in the final of Karaoke Idol this year as well. So
wow.
You're most welcome to come and sing on stage with me if you dare.
Are you serious? They have a karaoke
I'm really
idol.
Serious. Come and join me at karaoke.
That's excellent.
You have to invite us all.
Wait, but what are we singing? We have to decide on the song.
Well, I don't think I'll be singing any of Gary Glitter's sort of ensemble, but we'll have to work out what's appropriate.
We'll work it out. We'll have to practice.
Absolutely. Thank you. Pleasure.
That's going to be so much fun, Layla. We're going to karaoke.
Yeah, can you sing, Nishad? Can you sing?
Maybe I will ask Jamila to come and sing. She like.
All the best. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's a date.
Excellent. See you then.
I'll let you all know.
Hanadi's got my contact details, so
I do.
Okay,
I
brilliant.
absolutely do. And when Layla is in town, I'll make sure that I let everyone know. So perhaps we can do like a Rotary night out, you know, so
Excellent.
I can understand that we're also super fun.
Excellent.
And I can
Absolutely.
learn more about the Rotary, because to be honest with you, for my sins, I had never heard of I've vaguely heard of the Rotary, but Hanadi has introduced me, so I'm not up to scratch on your organization.
We have many clubs in UAE, in Dubai, so we can introduce you to them, and you can join any club of. It would be nice. There are nice people there.
Right. Yeah, no, that would be really nice. Thank you.
Actually, their last conference was in Dubai, the last district conference.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. I
That
think
would
we
be
have 60
great.
clubs.
And the Rotary International Convention will be in Dubai.
Yes.
Will be
2027.
2027
Yeah.
will be in Dubai.
Ah, okay.
So Dubai will receive more than 25,000 participants from all over the world.
Wow.
For
Wow.
one event. Wow, that's a lot of people. But Dubai is always in the center. I feel like all sorts of really high-profile people in the world are now all making a stop in Dubai, from comedians to singers to everyone, really, businessmen.
Yeah, a lot of high-profile sports people. Every day and I read about some sports person moving to Dubai from the UK.
You know, in
Well,
Dubai,
we got Steven Gerrard here. That's all that matters. We have Steven Gerrard, so there.
Who do you have? Who's that?
Steven Gerrard, ex-Liverpool captain.
Ah,
yeah.
So the latest, again, never heard of him, but I'm sure someone in this panel, Ronnie O'Sullivan. Ronnie O'Sullivan. Do we know Ronnie O'Sullivan, a snooker player?
Oh yes. Yeah.
He's
He's
just
in
moved.
Dubai.
Yeah. Did you know that?
No, I didn't. But I think Steven Gerrard out snookers Mr. O'Sullivan. So there.
Steve, well, actually, you know, Bahrain is there. Bahrain is. I think there was someone who actually said they preferred to go to Bahrain because it was more chilled out.
Yeah.
So maybe that was him. Maybe it was Stephen.
Okay. Well, probably. I mean, he does live here. He has to say nice things. Yeah.
I think he works in Saudi, right? So he crosses the bridge, or
No, he's not working there anymore. His contract there has been fines, but I think he loves Bahrain so much. He's still sticking around. So we tried to interview him for our magazine a couple of times. But
at some point, he was living
yes,
there.
He's
exactly.
just gone back to Rangers, by the way. George,
he's gone back to Rangers. Oh
back
yes.
to Rangers. He signed a contract. Only
Okay.
yesterday.
So well.
Anyway, just
Apparently
to
he was
let
in
you know
Bahrain
that
last week. Maybe he was closing up his affairs here or whatever, but he was spotted in Manama last week.
Anyway, another place, Layla, in this district is Cyprus, and we are having our district conference next year in Cyprus. And have you ever been to Cyprus?
Yes, twice. Limassol, though.
Okay. Limassol is where all the high buildings are. It's a lot more of Cyprus, which is much more beautiful. But we would love to have you if you decide to come through Cyprus.
So it's in Limassol where you have?
No, the district conference will be in Larnaca.
Okay.
And it will be in May next year.
Oh, wow.
So let's welcome Demetrius, who's the conference chair for the upcoming conference in Cyprus. So it's nice to have you with us.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
Yes,
That would be very kind. I
Yes,
would like
welcome
to
and
come.
thank you for participating.
You know,
Thank
Layla,
you.
our district consists of 9 countries. For that,
Right.
I mean, whenever the governor from which country, the conference will be there.
Oh, I see.
You know, I mean, before it was in UAE, Cyprus. Next year, the year after that, Lebanon, because our governor is from Lebanon, and like this, it goes around.
Then Armenia
Right.
after Lebanon, yeah.
Yeah.
And you have one, I saw you had one, which I found quite interesting in the Republic of Georgia.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the part
Armenia
where
and our
Last
district.
one was in Armenia.
yeah.
In
Sorry.
Georgia. I think it was the district conference because the governor was Armenian. I think it was in Armenia, right?
It will be in Armenia.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
No, there was a conference in Armenia,
Yes.
2022.
Yep.
Ah,
I should
And
come
now,
again.
yes, and then there'll
But
be
we
another
don't,
conference.
Layla, we don't have to wait for the conference. If you happen to be in Cyprus or you want to come to Cyprus, you would be very, very welcome. I mean,
thank
I
you.
enjoyed listening to you. I think you're a very natural person. You speak from the heart, you speak from the brain. So it's a combination which is not easily found. Congratulations.
Thank you.
So beside UAE, you'll be having another 8 invitation from the district, from 8 countries.
I'll be doing the tour.
Yes.
I'll drag Hanadi with me. Or Hanadi will drag me.
Hanadi will give
pleasure.
you all the contacts. And of
That
course,
would be
he's
so nice.
also welcome to join us.
Yes.
Thank you, Dimitri.
Can I
that
say
was-
about Demetrius?
Well, so Dimitri, where are you now in Cyprus?
I'm in Nicosia.
Oh, Nicosia, you're in the
Yes.
Greek part.
I am in the Greek part, yes.
The better part, right?
Well,
Oh, both good.
you know, we are the only the Rotary organization in Cyprus is the only organization where the Greek Cypriots and the Turkish Cypriots, they work together. We are under the same umbrella and we are represented in a unified way.
Nice.
So,
Beautiful.
you know, I wish other people could actually copy us,
Yes.
but we managed to work together. So we are
Demetrius,
all
I have one question. Did Donald Trump do this? Did he bring you guys together with President Trump? Was it because of his?
Well,
Forget about it.
Because he really deserves the Peace Prize if he did, as far as I'm concerned.
well, now you are opening
deserve
another
nothing.
political discussion, and we should not be politicizing Rotary.
I think let's stay away from
But
politics.
privately, I can discuss this with you, and I don't agree with you. So,
So where you're in, so this part where you guys will work together,
yes,
it's in Nicosia.
no, it's in throughout Cyprus because it's
Oh, okay.
there is
You're
freedom
based.
of movement from one part of Cyprus to another. So
Right.
we have meetings in Nicosia, we have meetings in Limassol, we have meetings in Kyrenia.
Oh, so you mean
So-
that your members are from Greek or
From Greek and Turkish Cypriot. They are
right.
Greek Cypriots, Turkish Cypriots, they are all mixed together.
And you yourself, are you Greek Cypriot or Turks? You're Greek Cypriot.
Well, I start with saying that I'm a Cypriot, but I speak Greek. Yes.
Yeah. Because it's interesting again as an outsider, because at the time I had some friends who were Lebanese and they had, they'd left Lebanon. And
Yes, we have a lot of Lebanese here.
And I couldn't understand, it's very interesting when you're an outsider, because I was like, I don't get the argument. I don't get the difference, Like it's like from an outsider, it seemed to me like a weird dispute. Sorry. It didn't feel like existential. Like it's like, who cares? Greek, Turkish, it's just Cyprus, right? But that's like as an ignorant outsider, I'm not sometimes when a conflict from the outside looks like a family argument from the neighbor, it's like, what are you arguing about? It looks
Well, I think the basic observation is that if you take a Greek Cypriot and a Turkish Cypriot, you
Mm,
will not find any difference. They are
exactly.
Cypriots.
Rotary in
Then-
Cyprus, Demetrius, started in 1938. It was one country, not separated. For
Right.
when it was separated in 1972, they did not separate the Rotary. So it was in the same, they have the same continuation of Rotary. It's 1938. How can you split them?
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
I remember.
at one
Yeah.
time they were separated because
Yeah.
you couldn't actually cross from
The
one
border.
side to the other. So it was de facto that you could not actually go, the Rotarians could mix. But once the checkpoints were open, then they worked something out, and we have a unified organization, and we enjoy each
That's
other's
good.
company,
Is it-
we are fellow
Yeah.
Rotarians, and we do projects together, and we understand each other, so no problem.
Yeah.
But it's interesting the fact that I remember reading reports about a DNA test done about 12 years ago, if I remember correctly, and they actually checked the DNA of the Greek Cypriots, the Turkish Cypriots, and compared to the Greek mainland and the Turkish mainland, the Greek and
We have-
Turks in Cyprus are much closer. Their actually DNA is much closer than either the Greeks to the Greek side or the Turks to the Turkish side. So that shows again that politics gets in the way of humanity and people acting in a warm, friendly, humanitarian way towards each other. It's politics that distorts it. Yeah.
Talking about DNA, though, the latest thing that about 2 or 3 years ago is that we are much more related to the Mesopotamia area than
Yeah.
anywhere else. We are very little connected with the Greeks of the mainland and the Turks of the mainland, but definitely we are connected with maybe the Phoenicians and anyway.
Yeah.
That's
Oh, right.
story, but
Actually, that's a good point.
Mm.
And
so where do you live in London? I'm sorry, I missed the very beginning of the.
well, I used to live in West London, and then very recent, well, it's not that recent now, but we all migrated to Southeast London. Because I have a multi-generational, like my mother, and we're all very Middle Eastern style living, you know.
Okay.
So like, you know, multi-generational households, which is, you know, unusual in this part of the world. So my sister, my mother, we all live in Southeast London. My mother lives with us and my children, my son, and but yeah, the reason I'm saying this is because Southeast London isn't an area you find a lot of Middle Easterners, you know. So Middle Easterners tend to live in like West London, Acton, some Ealing, you know, there's different. So this area is kind of Dulwich Village.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think yeah, it's sort of like a very English, but there's also a Caribbean, like we're sort of between Camberwell and Dulwich. So yeah,
All right.
that's
Still
where
a
I
nice
live.
place. I'm
Sorry.
sure. Still a nice place, I am sure.
I mean, it's okay. I mean, it's quite open, you know, there's kind of some big parks. But yeah, I think when you sort of live where, like, it's sort of, we live between here and then I live in Dubai. I think it's sort of where I think life is kind of where your family is, isn't it? You're sort of
Of
in
your
your own
family,
bubble.
your friends.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I find like now when I travel that again, I don't find as much difference when I go to different places, if you know what I mean. Like I feel that I don't have that experience that I had when I was younger where I'd go somewhere and I'd feel like I'm in a completely different world. Does anyone else have that? Does anyone resonate with that? Like the world's become very samey.
Yeah, the
No?
big cities are quite samey as you describe them, but
You got a few thumbs up.
there are
I
some
don't know.
areas which are better than others.
Yeah, but no, I mean in the kind of more personal I guess you go where you meet people. I'm not explaining myself very well. I'm just making excuses for the fact that I hate traveling.
Anyway, you have to excuse me. I have another thing to do. And it was great to meet you, and the invitation stands.
Thank you so much. It was lovely to meet you. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Thank you,
It was nice to have you with us,
Thank
really,
you.
Dimitris.
Nice, a very good choice of speaker tonight.
Thank you.
Dante is up.
Well, it's actually
See
Hanadi.
you soon.
But thank you for attending. Thank you for joining us, Demetrius.
Yeah,
Thank you. It was very worthwhile. And look forward to you joining me at JJ's karaoke as well when you're in Bahrain next, Layla. Make sure it's a Monday night included.
Okay, okay. Well, I mean, if we come for this December, anyway, yes, we'll arrange it with Hanadi because I'll be Hanadi's guest. So
We'll plan your entire schedule for the.
exactly. We'll just hijack
You come to
it.
Bahrain, Dubai, Cyprus. You know.
Okay.
All the best.
And I will
Brilliant.
take care of it. Khalas, decide.
Done. Yeah.
Done. Thank you, Layla.
Thank
You
you.
are,
Thank you, Layla.
you are no doubt
Thank you. Thank you very
inspiring.
much.
Thank
You
you.
know,
Really
Thank
very
you,
interesting.
Hanadi.
Yeah, thank you, President
Yeah.
Hanadi.
You're welcome.
It's really nice. And by the way, I just wanted to mention, I resonate completely with what Layla was saying about traveling. I just stopped having the feeling that I want to travel. I don't know what it is, but I have that now. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I just look at my garden and I say it's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Lovely to.
Thank you,
See
Hanadi,
you.
again.
Thank you.
An
Yeah,
excellent.
thank you all. Thank you, Layla. Thank you for the
Right.
attendees, for the brilliant questions, the commentary. Really enjoyed it. And Layla, if you have a final word you want to say?
No, I just want to
Sorry.
say thank you so much for everyone coming to this talk, and thank you, Hanadi, for inviting me and broadening my horizons. It's always nice to meet new people, and I tend to be in kind of my own little bubble a lot, my own little, so it was really refreshing, and I hope to meet you all again.
For sure.
Thank you.
We will do it.
See you in Bahrain. Thank you.
See you.
See you soon.
See you.
Thank you.
See you
Bye-bye.
all.
Bye-bye.